Alright, so now the important part of today's lesson is shading and shadow. Now, since it's a round object, we're going to be here. This will be our sun right in the middle. Now, I was telling you, Professor, during our interview last week, that how ever since I was in second grade, I've been placing the sun to the right of all of my objects because it seems like I've been stuck in a time warp since I was in second grade. It's been 2 p.m. In my life, 2 p.m. in my drawings ever since I was in second grade. Well, today I'm gonna break out of that, and we're gonna put the sun, and we're gonna shade these three spheres from different light sources. All right, so the sun's here, and so this goes along with our first with the book with the you can draw in 30 days the shading on the side. So sun's over here on the right, sun's coming over here, so the light's gonna hit here. Look at sun's up here, coming down over here, so the light's gonna hit here. Sun's above this one, so the light's gonna hit right there. So we know where the light's gonna hit. Now, how can we shade these to make them look really 3D? Well, sometimes you have to turn your paper, turn and twist. It's okay, your paper's not anchored or glued down. The sun's coming down, so I'm going to put a little shadow on the left side here. Watch this. Put a little shadow. Just put a little shadow right here, okay? Little shadow. See, it's opposite. The sun's here. Wherever your light source is, you're going to shade opposite. So now let's jump on the other side. If the sun's over here, on this one, I'm going to put a little shadow. Look where the sun is. Sun's coming down. So I'm going to put, now you get scientific and use measurements and rulers and get the exact, but don't worry about that. Just get the idea. Just get the general idea. You know, the sun's on the left, so the shadow's going to come on the right. This is very rare for all those of you who have drawn with me before. I don't think you've ever seen me put a shadow on the right side. That's a very rare situation indeed. Look at me. I'm stretching out of my comfort zone. All right, so sun's here, the shadow's on the right, sun's over here, shadow's on the left. And eventually what we're going to do is we'll talk about drawing positions. This is things that are going to come up in the next 30 days. We're going to use what's called the drawing compass. These are the 4 positions artists use most often when they're drawing characters and objects and environments. These are the positions. And look, see how the shadow comes down and position southeast. See, this shadow automatically comes down, how I position southwest. So even when we're doing shadows for spheres, we're using these directions. Now, this is going to be interesting. Where do you think the shadow is going to come if the sun hits right there? The shadow is going to be on the ground. Okay, so we're going to come in towards you. See this? The shadow is going to come towards you. So let's put a little shadow here. Just have some fun. To start light, this is what I call starting with a whisper, and then you get darker up underneath here. See that? You kind of spread the shadow out. The shadow's coming away. Sun's in front, so the shadow's coming away. And that's fine. All right, so look at, we have our ball positioned in 3 different locations. So now we have the shadow. These are called cast shadows. The reason I call them cast shadows is it anchors. You can even write that. You can even write, if you want to take some notes, the cast shadow is an anchor that keeps your ball from floating in space. Okay, now there's different kinds of shadow. There's a hover shadow. If we were to put, now watch this. Here's something. If I were to do, I'll do a little side note right here. Watch this. I'm going to draw. What if I drew a little sphere here? And what if the sun's above? So what if I did a shadow over here? Watch this. See that? And then made it bouncing. See, maybe the ball is coming down here and it hits and splashes here, and it bounces. Do a little side lesson. Look at, now this is called hover shadow. So here's a cast shadow, and we did an under shadow. We'll be doing this a lot. All right, we'll be doing that a lot during the lessons. All right. So look, this is what we do when we're learning. We kind of sometimes add extras, and we just take off from our lesson. We add bonus details. Now the sun's up here to the right, so take your pencil. Now I'm going to use little circles. There's many types of different shading I'm going to talk about over the course of the next 30 days. This is scribble shading here. You can use stippling or dot shading. Just do that. That's like dot shading. You can use hat shading, and then you can also use cross hat shading. Look at this. This is called cross hat shading, dot shading, scribble. I love scribble shading. Scribble shading is really cool. See that? Now, you can also use blended shading, which we'll get into eventually. This is if you have a chance, get yourself a paper stomp, all right? If you're looking for what kind of equipment that you want to get for your drawing series for the 30 days, All right. I'm going to add a few notes up here. Okay, let's add them over here on the side, little tiny notes. Number one, I want you to get yourself a sketchbook. Okay, get yourself a write down sketchbook. All right, and look at, I don't have much room. This is kind of cool. This will be full. Number two, I want you to get yourself any kind of pencil. I like a mechanical pencil. I like an HB. I like the PS209 right here. Number three, this is a wonderful stomp. It's a blending stomp. Okay, and I always have my little brush. You don't have to have this. It's a dusting brush, but it's nice to have it. A dusting brush. You can use a little. If you're making a portable kit, have like a little one of those makeup brushes. Make sure it's a brand new makeup brush so it doesn't have any makeup that'll smear. Now, number five is your. I always like my click eraser, some kind of an eraser. I like my click eraser. Again, whatever you need. Put this into a little kit, a little folder, little box. I like this. I'm going to recommend you get a spiral bound sketchbook. Okay. All right. So we're not going to blend it with the Stompy today. I'm just going to use a light whisper shading and then get darker with your pencil.